Hi, I'm Mariah Williams, a realtor with CB&A Realtors here in Cypress, Texas, and I'm here today with Mark Roach. He is a home inspector with HTown Home Inspections and has a lot of experience and has agreed to have a conversation today about home maintenance and the things that most people don't know they need to do, especially in the Houston, Texas area. So, Mark, can you tell us a little about yourself?
Yep, my name is Mark Roach. I own HTown Home Inspections. I started my home inspection company in Tomball area back in 2002. Of course, I do service everywhere. I'm a licensed professional inspector by the Texas Realestate Commission. I'm a member in good standing with the National Association of Certified Home Inspectors. I'm also with TPREIA, which is the Texas area real estate inspectors. Thermometer. My list just goes on and on and on and on. In these past years, I've done over 8,000 home inspections, so I've seen a thing or two. I've come across a thing or two. This really is the first kind of class we're doing like this, so I might stumble through this, but all the information is going to be there. Really with doing home maintenance, the biggest thing is familiarizing yourself with the house, to always walk around the house and just look at things, so that way there when things do start to change, you know that they change. A lot of people don't walk around their house. A lot of people don't even do their yard work anymore. So when they don't do that, they don't see when things change. So it's real important to walk around the house.
So one thing I thought about that I wanted to ask you about is, I know there's a feeling of, well, I just bought a brand new house. It doesn't need anything. And when we're talking about home inspections, we're usually talking about a home that's a little bit older, sometimes a few years old, but it might be 40 years old. Are they all going to need the same type of maintenance?
No, the older house is going to have different maintenance issues than a newer house, but all of them are going to have maintenance that needs to be addressed and taken care of. If you did have the house inspected whenever you first bought it, when it was first built, you're going to know everything that's going on with the house, what's wrong with the house. But you're still going to want to walk around and familiarize yourself with the house. You know, hey, was this crack into this brick wall here before? Was that part of from construction, or is this something that's showing that there's some movement that's going on? You know, that's part of the home maintenance itself.
Okay. So what's the most common items that you find in a home inspection that you think surprises the seller, that the homeowner didn't know needed to be done? And we can probably, I know there's going to be a lot of them. So we can probably start from like outside and work on to the inside.
Okay, well, let's just walk around and do basically a quasi home inspection, which is going to teach us a lot about maintenance as well. We want to look at the grading around the foundation. We want to make sure that we have a couple inches of foundation that's showing. Whenever we have a couple inches of foundation showing, that's going to do multiple things. One is going to have us a view of the foundation, so if a crack does appear, we can be alerted of that. Two, the termites itself, that's going to be forcing them to create a tunnel, so we'll be able to see those when they first start entering the house, not after they start coming out of the walls. Plus, it's going to allow us the walls to breathe and drain properly, so that we don't have high humidity that's built up, condensation built up in the walls. But then as we do walk around, we're going to look at the walls. We're going to look and see, are there cracks that are on there? Is the mortar in between the bricks itself, is that starting to deteriorate, pull back, and so forth? All the wall penetrations and junctions, they should be sealed. So if you have a faucet sticking out of a house, it should be sealed. The exterior of the windows itself should be sealed. So as it start to age, it'll start to pull back, pull away. So we want to go ahead and clean those off and recaulk those and reseal them. Also, the wood trim on the house. You want to take a look at that. Whenever it does start to rot, you'll see it start to get kind of bubbly, kind of wavy. So as soon as that happens, you can address that and keep it from making it a bigger issue. So that's part of being aware of your house. If you have a stucco home, walking around and looking at those is very, very important. You'll get the little hairline cracks that are on there. A lot of those is from thermal expansion, from the sun hitting on the siding itself, and it'll expand and contract. And as it does, it creates little hairline cracks. Those hairline cracks, every time it rains, is going to allow water to get inside that wall. And that's when you have a lot of issues with the stucco. So if you get on top of that, as soon as you see that crack, go ahead and seal everything up, prevent that water from getting in there. It will save you a ton of issues and money. Now, on the lap siding houses itself, same thing. When you have the lap siding, all your butt joints are, those should well be sealed. Now, you will see thermal expansion where those are expanding, contracting, and start getting those cracks on there. If everything is uniform, that's fine. But if you start seeing a zippering effect of the different joints itself, going up in one direction, that could show that there's foundation movement on it. That will alert you to go ahead and look. And typically, once you see that, you'll start seeing doors and windows that are hard to open or sticking rubbing through the frames. That's when you'll want to have somebody come take a look at the foundation.
Okay.
Then we also can look at the roof. We want to make sure all the debris are kept clean from the roof, from the gutters. Are there any shingles that are being pulled up, pushing up from nail pops, from high winds or anything else? The flashing around all the roof penetrations, your plumbing vent stacks, your exhaust pipes for the water heater and the heating units itself. Are they damaged? Are they rusting? Is there exposed nails? We want to keep all those cleaned and painted. That's on there as well. Any organic growth that's on those. So if you live like in the woodlands, highly wooded area, they have a lot of organic growth. Now, organic growth itself will start to deteriorate the shingles and bring all that down.
Okay. And I've heard that squirrels will even chew on those boots around the pipe openings.
Correct. Yeah, the older style ones where you had the lead pipes that covered the water drain pipes itself, the vent pipes. Squirrels love those because they're nice and sweet. And squirrels eat them. I'm not sure if they die or not. I've heard if they don't, but I don't know how. But they eat them because it's nice and sweet. So yeah, you do have to keep an eye on those. There are newer boots that are out there. In fact, I actually like to have a cap actually installed on top of them. So there's no damage that can be done. And if it is done, it's still going to be protected from the rain.
Okay. So if you have a roof that you can't see from the ground very well at all, how often does somebody need to be on top of it looking at it?
Every few years, I'd get somebody to go out there. Probably every 5 years would be the max that I'd go with somebody looking at it. In reality, if your roof is 10 years or older, you should have somebody go out there immediately and take a look at it. Because with the insurances that are out there now, they're not paying for a full roof replacement whenever it comes time for hail damage on older roofs. They're paying whatever that roof is valued at the time that the damage was done. So 10 years is when things start to go kind of wrong on there. So you want to have a roofing company go out there and take a look at it and get it all addressed before it does become a bigger issue for you.
Okay. And I know I've dealt with Togi roofing before, and it was like less than $200 for them to come out and do maintenance on a roof. Just reseal and take care of those nail pops and things like that. So it's something that roofing companies, I know that they can do that for you.
Correct. It's money well spent. We definitely don't want homeowners getting up on their roof doing things. It's a lot of dangerous areas. Let the professionals get up there and take care of everything for you. Doing those little maintenance things can take a roof from 15 years up to 18 years before it needs to be replaced because everything's been maintained throughout the life of the roof.
Wow, that's a long time, a lot of money to save over 3 years.
Yes.
The other thing the roof makes me think of is chimneys. Because they stick out the roof or above the roof. So do you commonly find problems with those?
Usually the older style where you have the brick chimney and you actually have the mortar cap to it, those ones there do require a lot of maintenance because that mortar cap that sits on top, it's taking a lot of beating from the sun and the weather, and mortar will crack and start to fall off of it. When that does, water is going to sit on top of that chimney. It's going to make its way down into the chimney cavity inside the wall cavity. Have some issues that are on there. So even if you don't run your fireplace on a routine basis, you do want to go ahead and at least take a look at that. Some of you can view from the ground. If you can still see that mortar cap sticking out past the brick around there, you're doing pretty good. If you can't see it at all, you need to have somebody up there and redo that.
Okay.
Because water does have issues. I've seen where people haven't done it for a while, and the inside of the chimney itself is starting to fall in and cave in, and also the firebox itself. There's a lot of cracks, and the bricks itself are starting to cave in. I just did one a couple months ago in Kingwood, and it was almost $20,000 worth of damage because they did not maintain the top of that chimney.
Wow! Just from having the chimney cap sealed and repaired when needed.
Correct. Yeah, the whole thing had to be ripped out and redone. It was pretty bad.
Okay. Anything else? You talked about foundation and roof. What about anything in between on the outside that you need to be concerned with? With that, you see a lot that needs maintenance that doesn't get done, especially.
What a lot of people don't realize too, you see these houses that have a lot of vines that are growing on them. and people like the looks of those and
It's
everything else.
pretty.
Yeah, it is pretty. Yeah, but it traps moisture on your house. It creates all kinds of issues. Wreaks havoc on the mortar between your bricks on the house itself. Plus, it's also where all the rodents want to be. Carpenter ants and so forth really love being inside of there. That's their pathway into your house. You won't be able to see them because of that. So keep all that back away from the house. Bushes, trees, everything. You want to be able to walk in between your bushes and your house all the way around it. So that way the house itself can properly breathe and live, because the house is a living thing, really, if you think about it.
And then I did think of one other thing that I see a lot here is decks in poor condition. Is that something people can prevent?
They can prevent it at the installation of it, the design of it. A lot of people don't take into account to have ventilation underneath the deck. So they'll put it directly onto the ground, or they'll put a perimeter trim piece around it that prevents any kind of air from getting underneath it, or they don't have the grading correct. So site planning is very, very important before you install a deck. After a deck is installed, trying to get ventilation underneath it the best that you possibly can. Taking a look at it, you'll start seeing where the boards itself are starting to warp up and pull up that are on there. So that's going to show that we do have some issues underneath it. So every deck is unique on what you can do as far as getting the water from underneath the deck and getting air underneath there. A lot of times you'll see the deck itself that covers up part of the exterior wall. And in those areas, when that happens, typically there's going to be termites there. They love it. It's nice, it's cool, it's dark, it's damp. It's the perfect conditions for termites.
So if the deck is against the house, it's likely hiding termites, and it'll be, they'll get to do a lot of damage before you would ever see them.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah. You wouldn't know it until the sheetrock itself starts to flake off inside of the house. By then, you have a lot of damage.
Oh, wow. And termites are pretty common here in Houston area?
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. There's the houses that have termites, or the houses that are going to have termites. And everybody's going to have them sooner or later, including my house that I'm living in. I had termites that are coming inside of my house, and I go around and look at my house all the time. I was able to find it immediately. So I found it quick before there's any damage that was done, because I'm familiar with my house. But every house is going to eventually have termites.
Oh, wow.
And the houses that have been treated for termites are better off than the houses that have not been treated. Okay?
How long would a treatment last?
The treatment itself, I think the last that I was told is 5 years is what the treatment itself lasts for. But the companies will go through and give you a year warranty on it. And if you get on a maintenance plan with them, they'll come out every single quarter and take a look at it. And if there are areas, they'll go ahead and they'll treat it. So if the termites do start to come up in an area, they'll treat that whole area at no additional charge. I think it's typically around $200 or so for a small size house a year that you'll pay for that service. It's pretty well worth it.
Yeah.
So the termites treated on my house was $1,500.
Wow.
So yeah, I had the entire house done. Once it's in one area, you want to treat the whole house. You really don't want to treat this one area.
Okay. Okay. So anything else you can think of outside?
That's really the bigger issues. I mean, there's always all kinds of stuff with your AC unit outside. Just make sure all the bushes are cut back away from there. Make sure that's kept clean. But you should have that serviced every single year, anyhow, to have them go ahead and clean that, check the freon levels and that. So they'll be able to tell you on that. Outside, you're going to have a ground rod for your electricals, main safety ground wire, main safety ground rod. A lot of times the yard people or yourself will knock that ground wire loose from that rod. Well, that breaks your whole main safety ground. You want to make sure that wire is still attached to that. And typically that's going to be right next to the electrical meter outside, wherever that is.
Okay. And you're literally talking about a piece of metal rod in the ground that just sticks up and has a wire attached to it.
Correct.
And that wire is important.
Correct. That is your main safety ground wire for the house. So that grounds all the electrical inside the house. Whenever that's not attached, it's no longer grounded. So if there is a problem in the electrical system, you are now the ground. And so that's not a good thing. So
No.
If there's a short appliance or anything else, the ground's going to go through you, you'll be electrocuted. You don't want that to happen. So
Okay.
just a little simple wire. It doesn't look like much, but it does a lot.
Wow. All right. So as you move inside, what are you looking for? And what do people usually miss?
People usually miss, again, we're going to be looking for cracks in the walls. We're going to be looking make sure that all the doors and windows itself are opening properly, operate those windows. And we live in the Houston area, so people don't open up their windows on a routine basis. I can tell that when I go through and inspect a house. Some of these windows have not been open for many, 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 many years. So they're real hard to operate just because they haven't been open. But by keeping all that flowing and opening up, you'll be able to tell if your foundation is moving on the house. Keep everything else moving as it should. Inside of the house itself, as far as electrical goes, you have GFCI outlets that are typically inside of your kitchen and bathrooms. They're on your exterior and inside the garage as well. It's that outlet that has the test and reset buttons that are on there. Those should be tested at least once a year. So you hit the test button, it trips, and it reset it. By operating those, they'll last a lot longer. If you don't operate them, whatever they do trip, or whenever I come through to inspect the house and I trip them and test them, a lot of times they don't reset because they have not been operated.
So do I need to plug something in like a nightlight or something and hit the trip and make sure it actually turned off, or how do you just hit the button and assume it worked?
Well, the best way is to plug something into it, yes. But at least at the very bare minimum, just hitting the test button, it trips and then reset it.
Okay, so it's the action that it needs more than anything.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Okay, interesting. That one I didn't know at all. Okay.
It's all little thing.
What else?
Well, another thing now, especially inside the newer houses, the utility rooms are being installed in the center of the house. So that means the dryer vent itself goes up through the wall, goes out to the roof somewhere, or out to the side of the house. It's a long run with a lot of different elbows and points to it.
Yeah.
In those, even if you clean your dryer vent, every single time, your lint trap, every single time you run a load of clothes through there, lint still gets past that. And in that long run itself, it starts to build up on the dryer walls, on the dryer vent walls itself. When that happens, it kind of clogs up like a clogged artery. A lot of times you'll notice that it takes longer and longer for your clothes to dry properly inside the dryer. That's when you know you definitely have a problem. Depending on how many people inside the house is how often you're going to clean it. If you have a house with 4 people inside the house, you want to clean that once a year. If you're just a single person inside the house, you probably go 3 years before cleaning it. If you do not clean it, it can become a fire hazard. I was a fireman for 10 years myself, and we used to go to a fire calls about 5 or 6 times a year for dryer vents. It's always the same story. I've been trying to dry that same load of clothes all day long, and I just wouldn't dry, and it caught on fire. Okay, so
wow.
If it doesn't dry, stop, find out why. Don't just keep on hitting reset. There's a problem there. So
and I know they make a tool for that. Honestly, I don't have one, but seriously, my dryer is right up against the outside wall. My run is only a foot.
yeah, so that's the best way. Those are easy to clean. But yeah, there are lint brushes that you can buy. Home Depot has them, Lowe's has them. The brand itself that's popular is called a lint eater. It has an auger style that's on there. It's a long, flexible rod with multiple attachments to it. So you keep on pushing it inside of there. So if it's really clogged, you want to go through with that auger to get everything off. And then after that, you'll put a brush head that's on there. Then you hook it up to a drill so it spins. And you push it all the way up and pull it on back down. It is quite messy when you do that. I usually tell people to find an AC company that also does air duct cleaning. And so when you have your air conditioner serviced every single year, you can have them clean out your dryer vent for you. Typically, they'll do that for less than $100. And for the amount of mess and trouble it goes through, it's worth it to me.
Yeah.
Okay. I actually pay to have it done, so just because it's a mess.
I understand that.
After that, having an AC unit serviced every single year will also prevent any kind of leakage from going on the air conditioner. So the air conditioner runs itself, it's taking all the moisture out of the air, okay? And that goes to a primary drain. It typically goes down to a sink somewhere, typically inside a bathroom sink that's closest to where the AC unit is inside the attic. That itself, because there's water going through that constantly, it tends to build up with algae. And when that builds up and clogs, water's going to overflow into the emergency overflow pan and come out of the house. Okay, so by having the AC units itself serviced every single year, they're going to clean out that drain for you. Some people are savvy enough to get inside of their attics, find that drain. A lot of times they have a T-trap that's on there. You can pour some bleach down there to keep it cleaned out as well for yourself. But that's real important. You know, a lot of times when I walk inside a house and I see if there's water damage on the ceiling, I know it's from that air conditioner, people that did not maintain it. And second token, if you see water coming out of your house anywhere, there's a problem. Okay, if it's coming out of the pipe that's on the soffit, that's closer to the roof, that's your air conditioner. If it's coming out of the pipes that are closer to the ground at the walls, that's going to be for your water heater. So if you see water coming out of those, call respected people and have them repaired.
Okay, that makes sense.
I don't know if you've ever driven around and seen the big rust spots on people's roofs and everything else. That's people just let that go just forever, and not knowing what it was, and that's when they have the big issues.
Yes, I've seen it from the air conditioner overflow dripping down on the house to where the side of the house had rust, and the concrete on the floor on the ground had rust, just stained right into it. So that kind of told me it had been leaking for a long time, and probably, you know, wasn't a good indication of the quality of maintenance on the home itself. But for somebody that's not from Houston, they may have never heard of such a thing in their life, because where I moved from Missouri, and that we didn't have that. First of all, the units weren't in the attic; they were usually in the crawl space, and we did have a drain coming out the crawl space, but that was it. It didn't go into the sewage. That was just the normal drain. So I can see where some people just don't know that that's not how it's supposed to work. You know, that, oh, it's connected to the air conditioner. Yeah, of course the air conditioner needs to get water out. That would make sense. But
oh yeah. In fact, I've seen people to where they've actually piped that the drain that comes out of the house. They've attached PVC pipe to that and drain it and run it all the way around to the other side of the house. So they didn't have to see it anymore. And all it is one clogged drain pipe that's inside of their attic. All they do is clean that out.
And if that one clogs up, everything overflows.
Correct, because that's inside the emergency overflow pan. And the pans they put underneath the air conditioners, with the water itself is being pulled out of the air, when it comes in contact with that metal pan, that corrodes that pan, that's what creates that rust. So over time, that pan itself, it's slowly rusting and deteriorating. It's going to start to leak. That's where you have some issues as well. So having an AC unit serviced every single year will save you a lot of headache. It'll also prolong the life of the air conditioner itself. I can tell as a home inspector, I do all kinds of different age homes. I've seen an air conditioner that's 20 plus years old. It's still running, looking good, just like a 5-year-old unit does. Then in the same token, I've seen some that's 5, 6 years old. They need to be replaced. They were never serviced.
Wow.
So it's real important, because you could be looking close to $10,000 for a complete HVAC replacement. So paying somebody $100 to $150 a year to service them, it's well worth it.
Like plumbing, drainage, things like that. Do you find problems there that sellers are unaware of?
Yeah, typically one of the things that I do to tell the condition of the water tank instead of the water heater is I'll go inside the master, and I'll turn on the hot water to all the faucets inside of there. But I'll also fill up the master bathtub with nothing but hot water at the same time all that's running. So that's going to tell me the condition of the tank, because it's going to be flushing out everything inside of that tank. There's sometimes to where it looks like chocolate milk. It's coming, the tub is just full of stuff. And that's what people are bathing in, showering in every day. But it's mixed with hot and cold water coming out of the shower head. They're not seeing it. So in our area with the water that we have, you want to flush the water heaters at least once a year. And on the bottom of the water heater itself is a spigot, just like the spigot on the outside of the house. You attach a hose to that, run that hose, depending on where your water heater is, where the best way to run it. Run it somewhere where it can drain. So if it's in a second story of a 2-story house, and it's an attic of a 2-story house, you can run it down to a bathtub that's close to it. Or you can run it to outside. Outside is always the best, because there's going to be debris that are coming out of there. Then open it up and let it flush out. If the water heater is not that old, there's different procedures on how to go through on that. I'm not going to go that far depth into it. You can go on YouTube, because if you flush out a water heater that's old, like you do a new one, you're going to cause other issues with that water heater. So
Okay.
be aware of that. Go ahead.
I was just thinking that I didn't realize that the new ones were different, so that is interesting. Is there any difference between a gas and an electric water heater that you need to be concerned with?
Not as far as flushing it. On the gas water heaters itself, the newer ones, you can't really even see the flames anymore. It's actually a little inspection port that's not that big. It's really hard to see. The older ones, you're able to pull it open and be able to see inside and see if the tank was rusting or anything else. But they're really keeping it they're a lot tighter these days for multiple different reasons, because it is an open flame source. That is always, that's why they're closing it off now for safety reasons. But no, flushing them, you still want to flush them both the same. And then look for any corrosion that's on the water pipe connections to the water heaters. Is on top of the dielectric unions in between the water pipe itself and the water heater. So if those start to go bad, they'll start to corrode, and those will start to leak as well. So look for any corrosion that's on the water pipes that are going to the water heaters.
Okay.
No matter where they are. Of course, you want to make sure that all the exposed pipes inside the attics do have insulation that are on them or are covered by the insulation that is laid on the ceilings. The newer style, the flex PEX pipe, typically it's going to be blue and red. That does not require to have any kind of insulation installed on those, because those pipes are designed to actually expand to twice their size before they burst. So it's a little bit different than a copper pipe or a PVC or CPVC pipe.
So the insulation is to keep the pipe at a fairly constant temperature?
Yeah, correct. For the rare times that we do have freezes, we want to keep the pipes from busting. Okay. A lot of people don't think about it because we don't have freezes that often, but when a freeze does come, everybody's running out buying that insulation, and it sells out. You don't have it, so that's when you start having your leaks and problems. So if you do a little ounce prevention, right now, do it at your own leisure and buy it. It makes it a lot easier to go through, taken care of. Still speaking on water pipes, if your house was built around in the 70s, you're going to have galvanized plumbing. Galvanized plumbing has its own other issues. So educate yourself on that. In fact, you can go to my website to find out a little bit more about that. Just do some research about the deterioration of the galvanized plumbing. I won't go too far into that because not everybody's going to have that.
Okay.
Okay. Also, it is a good idea to go inside your attic, stay on the attic decking, don't step off that decking, and just look around for any kind of water leaks. So if you see in a dark area itself, it's a potential for water itself is getting inside the attic. So that will tell you faster than looking outside at the roof. Also, in the same token, if you see any of the framing members itself that are cracked, starting to split, that means we need to have some supports going on. Something is happening there. It could be foundation movement. It just could be time, of an unsupported framing member. Multiple other things. And typically with those, I get people that call me all the time, and I give free advice all the time, asking me to come out there and inspect it. Well, let's just talk about it real quick and shoot me a picture of it, and I can tell you where you need to go instead of paying me to come out there and tell you where to go, who to fix it. So I believe in helping people out, and put people first, and the rest of life is easy. My motto in life.
That's right. Completely true. All right. How about drains, faucets, anything like that? I know it seems like I see here a lot of faucets that run slow.
Well, that's because of our water that we have. There's the aerator screen that's on the faucets, and that becomes contaminated and clogged up. So if you pull those off, which is unscrews from the faucet itself, then you can clean those out and put it back on there. The best thing to have is a water filter on the main house, just because all the stuff we have inside of our water. There's a water softener is best. Water filter and water softener, working together, obviously is really, really good. But if you don't, then you'll have to continually clean those. And over time, those contaminants will start to clog up the inside of those pipes. Even though copper pipes itself will start to have issues and start to get some pinholes and some buildup inside of that as well.
Okay. How about humidity levels? I've normal places, and I love Texas. I'm just teasing. humidity inside your house is like 35 to 45% or so. Here in the summer, especially, you're not going to get it under 50%. When do you get concerned? Should everybody have a humidity sensor? I mean,
oh, it is good to know what the humidity is inside of your house, and you'll be able to feel it and know pretty quick. If your air conditioner is sized properly and working properly, your humidity levels should be fine inside your house. That's what it's designed to do. That's part of the design of an air conditioner. Usually if you have high humidity levels, it shows that the air conditioner is not working effectively, not working efficiently, or their air conditioner itself could be oversized. As I'm seeing a lot of people say they want the biggest, baddest air conditioner is for their house.
yeah.
Well, okay, now this was rated for a 8,000 square foot house, and you've got a 2,000 square foot house. Well, it cools your house in a matter of minutes. This doesn't run long enough to take humidity out of the air. That's when you start having mold issues and everything else.
Do you have anything else that you find that you think people need to know about, because a lot of people don't seem to know about it?
Really the biggest thing is just being aware of your house. Walk around going through your house instead of people who live in their house, but they don't pay attention to their house. Just like anything else, it's a living, breathing thing. Pay attention to it. You have people that have animals, and they're just pets. They're outside pets. For people that don't love their animals and know every single little bump that's on that animal. So it should be the same with your house. You should just walk around, take a look at it, and just be aware of what is going on it. You see something different, whenever you see something different, you'll know right away, because you're aware of your home. That's the number one thing to me.
That makes sense. And time just seems to fly by. You move into a house, and the next thing you know, it's 5 years later.
Yeah.
And a lot of stuff has just kind of gotten by, and you didn't realize it. So I like the whole annual. I don't know if that's a spring cleaning annual, or or whenever it is, maybe anniversary of buying your house, some kind of reminder. And then, like you said, if you don't do yard work anymore, you still need to get outside and go out and look around and see how things are, make sure the plants aren't getting too close to the house and all of that kind of stuff. So that totally makes sense to me. And I wanted to say, I really appreciate you doing this today. I know we're all at home and doing things online anyway, but not everybody wants to give out free advice, and I appreciate that you do. And I did want to take a moment, and I'm going to share my screen and show your website. Yeah, your URL is aprofessionalhomeinspection.com.
Mm-hmm.
And it gives, I know it gives a lot of information, and I've had clients use you, and they've not had any problems whatsoever. The other place that you can be found frequently is on your Facebook page, which is at HTown Home Inspections, and you post interesting stuff on there also. And for anyone that wants to know who I am, you can find my Facebook page by searching at Mariah Williams Realtor. And if you'd like to connect personally, go to facebook.com/Mariah W. I also have a website at mariah.com. And that's where you can search for homes, set up searches, and save them for yourself, all that kind of stuff. And it'll keep you all up to date. All right. So
can you also go to my Google page, which is Houston-home-inspector.com. This is the Google page. So if you scroll down, you'll be able to see I do quite a few little quick videos, a whole bunch of them. In fact, that one there that you have your mouse over, that one there is showing a hidden air duct that was covered up by a sheetrock on a remodel.
Oh, wow.
Where people didn't know. I used my thermal camera to find that one. But you also be able to see all the reviews. I have a 5-star review rating. There's around 60 people that have reviewed me. I've been around for 18 years. People love me.
That's great. So tell me a little more about the thermal camera. What do you find with it frequently?
With the thermal camera itself, what it does, it allows me to see things not visible to the human eye, like hidden water intrusion, hot spots in electrical circuits, disconnected air ducts, and missing insulation inside the walls and ceilings. So it's telling me the temperature differentials. So it's going to tell me what's going on behind the walls and ceilings.
And those are all things that would be really hard to find without having it.
Almost impossible to find. In fact, when I first started doing thermal imaging, I did it as a side add-on for my business. But when I was playing around with it, I was realizing the amount of things that I was finding that there's no way that I would be able to find without that. So I decided, well, I'm just going to include that as a free service. So that way there, it puts me above and beyond what other people do in the industry.
Yeah.
And the stuff I find it's crazy. Like that house itself, that was talking about, as a remodeled house. So they had a remodel like 5 years prior to that. Well, there's no ducts over inside of the kitchen because they covered it up with sheetrock. It was blowing cold air inside the attic the entire time.
Wow.
Conditioned air, rather.
Okay. And I know I've seen your pictures in your inspection reports that you can actually include a picture of the thermal image.
Correct. Yeah, I include pictures of all the problems that are found. So if it's thermal imaging, or all the way down to an area where sealant needs to be applied, I'm going to take a picture of it. So that way, when people go through my inspection report, it makes it easy to understand what that is instead of being misinterpreted. I know some of my other inspectors that are out there, they only want to include 1 or 2 pictures, keep the file size down. I create a website out of it, so I don't care how big the report is. So it's a megabyte size. So I'll just put all the pictures I want to, and you can look at them. You can download them if you want to, but it's all on the internet, so you're not worried about taking space in your computers.
Okay, good to know. Yeah, I do remember a link to the reports rather than an actual report in the email, so that's good. And I realize now that that's so that you can include more pictures.
Yeah,
that's good to know, because I've had other reports where you get this little bitty picture and you really can't tell what it was a picture of or what it's showing. So okay.
Yeah. In fact, on the reports on the website, you can click on a picture and it'll expand out, so you can really zoom into it to see what's going on. I include videos inside of there if I need be as well. But also, being on the internet, you can log in, you'll see every report that we've done with each other for the past 5 years. So whenever a client that you found them a house, and 3 or 4 years down the road, they want to sell that and go for a bigger house, they're obviously going to call you, and you're going to be able to pull the report up immediately because you're the professional that you are.
Yes.
So you can show everything. So it's all right there for you. All the tools that I provide for everybody to make all the transactions go as smooth as possible.
Terrific. Is there anything else you include or add on in an inspection?
Well, I also do pool inspections. I do wells. I do septics. Do sprinkler systems. I do bring out a third-party termite inspector. So I work with a couple of different companies with that. So I'm the one-stop shop. So whenever you are ready to have it done, I can do it all. I can do the stucco inspections as well on the homes. Okay. There's nothing that I can't really inspect on a house. I'm certified to do it all, and I've seen it all once or twice in my life for the past 8,000 or so inspections that I've done. Okay. Now, one thing I'm doing now with the viruses going on, I don't know if you want to go into that.
Yeah, let's touch on that.
On the protocols. Okay, well, to try to keep everybody as safe as possible, what I'm asking my clients to do, which is rare, I always like to meet my clients and have them show up to the inspection. I'm asking them to stay at home, to not be there. And I also ask them for the sellers to go ahead and leave, go to the park, what have not, while inside the house. And when I go through the house, I disinfect and I clean everything that I'm going to touch first before I even start the inspection. So as I go through and I'm touching things, I am constantly washing my hands as well to make sure that I'm keeping it as safe as possible. So whenever I leave the house will be cleaner than it was when I showed up. So that's a big bonus that's on there. Typically, I would type the report up on site, so it takes me a little longer on site. Well, I don't want the people to be out of their house for that long, so I'm not typing reports up on site anymore. I type them up back in the office. So that saves time so that we can get people back inside their house so they're not out contaminating or getting contaminated from other areas. But then I make myself available after the fact so I can go through the inspection report with the client. And any contractors that want to have more information, instead of having them go back out to the house to take a look, I'm asking them to call me directly, and I'll walk them through what the problems are so they can give accurate bids. So it's less people that are going back into the people's houses that are being sold. So less cross-contamination itself. So I'm trying to be as safe as possible, keep everybody as safe as possible. and has less disruption for the sellers as well.
Right. Thank you
Yeah.
for taking an hour out of your day and doing this.
Well, thank you for the opportunity. I do appreciate it. And everybody stay positive and safe out there.
You got it. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.